Hi, everybody. It's July 20th, 2023, and this is the weekly Backdrop Developers meeting. We get together every week to talk about priorities and tasks that are happening in Backdrop development and usually specifically in Backdrop Core. My name is Nate Lampton. I'm Quick Sketch on the internet, core committer and technical lead for the Backdrop project. I am joined here by a pretty good sized group today. We'll do some round robin introductions of everyone here. If you could just say where you're from and well, your name, where you're from, and anything notable about why you're here today. So let's start off with Robert and then we'll go to Tim.
Robert Lang, bug folder on the internet, coming to you from Altadena, California. And lately I've been working on our backdrop.org properties and fixing some bugs in contrib modules.
Great. Thanks, Robert. Tim and then Justin.
Sorry, my name is Tim Erickson. I'm St. Paul Tim. I'm in Deerwood, Minnesota today, and that's probably good enough. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Justin and then Greg.
Which one of us?
Oh, sorry, Justin Kaiser.
Justin Kaiser. I'm in Muncie, Indiana. Kaiser JB on the internet.
Thanks, Justin. Why don't we actually go to other Justin then?
Yeah, I'm Justin Christopherson in Denver, Colorado. Just help out with infrastructure as I can.
And no offense intended by calling you other Justin. That's just the order of people today. Okay, Greg and then Joseph.
Yeah, maybe we need the JK and JC, the acronyms just to specify. Hi everybody. I'm Greg. I'm usually in Melbourne, Australia, but now I'm joining from Greece. Generally interested in helping with anything related to Backdrop, but mainly core things, and I'm blocking people that are trying to get into Contrib. Excited. There's a 2-week annual leave that is coming up starting next week, and I'm excited because I'll have a lot of time to contribute to Backdrop. That's it. Thanks.
Great. Joseph, if you're there, and then Savashri last.
I'm Joseph. I'm a developer from Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm also a core committer. And I don't know, I haven't been active in the community for a while, so I'm kind of just checking in to see how everything's going.
Yeah, great to have you here, Joseph. Savashri, if you're still there. May have stepped away. All right, well, that's it. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see everyone here. The meeting before this also was action-packed. We had from what I heard, a great demo of upgrading from Drupal 7 to Backdrop that was given by Irina, and that was recorded as well. So go and check that out if you're interested. On the contrib side of things, we have one new contrib module that was released this past week. The module is called Resource Conflict, which looks like it is a add-on module that extends rules. So thank you to our contributors who made that module. I think it's RG Piano that created that. So, all right, let's see. Particular topics for this week. We don't have anything that was brought up in the forum, and I didn't see anything brought up in Zulip. So I'll just do a little recap of things of note that we're working on actively. The first one that's exciting is issue 5927. PHP 8.2 support has been complete and merged in, and that is going into both 126 and the next 125 version, so the next stable release as soon as we make a new bug fix release. It'll be great to be able to bump up PHP versions to the latest version. I really like that set of changes as well. Indigo Zella went through and did a lot of labor to add, in almost every case, missing property declarations to every object and class in core. So anywhere we're doing any kind of setting an attribute or property on an object, in PHP 8.2, it no longer allows you to just arbitrarily put properties onto objects. You need to declare the fact that the property exists in the object definition up at the top of the class usually. Otherwise, it throws a warning. Or you can suppress it with a special, I can't quite remember what they're called, class attribute, I think it is, that says, hey, this thing has dynamic properties. And that's still the case for a lot of the more complex objects that we have in core, like entity objects or node objects or views objects. These things where they're just, dozens of things that have been tacked onto the objects as unnamed properties, and there's no way we can know what they all are. But for all of the other classes throughout core, things like I think layouts, for example, are now all fully defined. All of our test classes all have the properties defined. Lots of properties just across the board all now have are now declared, and they have their types specified, which helps a lot, not just with PHP 8.2 support, but also with IDE support. So now autocomplete, if you use an IDE, is now much better with knowing what properties are available on objects. So great set of changes there. You guys have any questions on PHP 8.2 support or anything? No? Okay. All right. Another small issue, but one that is worth mentioning, is issue 6057. Has to do with color module. Color module cannot save colors if uppercase hex codes are used in the theme's color.inc file. This is not like a special issue in terms of like what was accomplished here, because color module, some people use it, a lot of people don't. But the thing that was really exciting is that we have a new contributor that came into this issue, Eric Foy from Oregon. It looks like this was their first issue and first pull request, probably ever on GitHub, in fact, and we merged it in. There's a one-line fix, and now they're a new contributor to the Backdrop project. So welcome, Eric. Thank you for your work in researching this, because it looks like it took a fair amount of debugging to figure it out, and this was opened back in April and just fixed this week. So thank you and welcome. All right, those are the two issues that I wanted to raise that have been fixed. And then there's the one issue that is right on the cusp of being completed, and this is issue 6149, to replace deprecated jQuery methods used in core with the methods that are fully supported in jQuery 3.x. About a month ago, we merged the pull request that puts a real equivalent of like jQuery update into core, that new installations of Backdrop will now default to the very latest 3.x version of jQuery out of the box, and current sites will continue running 1.x, but there's a user interface for updating to the latest version of jQuery core. And so we'll try to encourage people to move on to the latest version of jQuery, but we leave in the old version for backwards compatibility and to prevent people's sites from breaking on a minor version update. So this issue 6149, I've marked RTBC, but in reality, I also left the label needs testing. I went through it. Kiam La Luna went through it. Indigozella's done it multiple times. And I think that we're in a really good spot here. To be conservative, I'll probably only merge this into 1.x branch, just to be extra safe that that we don't break something in the current minor version. But I think it looks really great. and another round of testing, just clicking around in the sandbox would be helpful to just really get us to feeling really comfortable with this this pull request. All right. Yeah, those are the issues I wanted to bring up today. Robert mentioned before the call that we've got a couple of changes to backdropcms.org. All of the sites are now updated to the latest version of Backdrop. Thanks, Robert. It's sometimes that slips behind a little bit. And that the newsletter sign up block is now on all sites. Where does that show up on? Is it literally actually on all sites? Like is it on the doc site as well?
Yeah, if you go to almost any page, look at the lower right corner of the page,
Oh,
and you should see the block.
yep. I'm gonna do it right now.
And I think it works.
Oh, I'm already subscribed.
But that tells you that it worked, because that meant that if you did it on the docs site, that docs told b.org to subscribe you. b.org, which owns the list, then responded to say that you're already subscribed. So you did confirm that the handshaking is working.
Yeah, excellent. That's great. And this and this saves into Civi CRM ultimately. Is that where it's going?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. That is fantastic. I don't know hardly anything about that portion of our community, but I'm glad you do. So thank you so much for getting that set up. Okay, let's see. The floor is open if anybody would like to raise any issues. I'm hoping, Greg, with that little buffer of the introduction, you might have run across an issue or two to talk about.
I was pretty busy, so if you want me to find, I can go find quickly in the queue. But I have come across one issue that is actually closed. I opened it and then closed it back in 2019, and I think I'm going to reopen it. But before I do, I need some feedback, and I'm talking about issue 3964. So I opened that as a UX DX issue, but it can also be an accessibility issue, right? So what happens is, unless you specify, when you specify a form element as a checkbox, and I imagine it does the same with the radios as well, unless you specify an ID property, it doesn't add the label is not clickable, right? And I closed the issue because I said, oh, but back then I said, oh yeah, I forgot to add the ID. But now that I think about it, if we want things to work as expected, like clicking the label also selects or deselects the checkbox, I mean, ticks it or unticks it, then an ID needs to be present and a for attribute needs to be in the label. Or for things to work properly, we need to change the HTML, which I assume already that it's unacceptable, to nest the input of type checkbox inside the label, and then things work automatically then. But since we're not changing markup that drastically, what we could do is make sure that there's an ID and a for attribute in the label so that things work out of the box. So I'm thinking to reopen that with hindsight. But before I do that, just general thoughts or.
So yeah, looking at this, I'm curious where this example took place, because if it takes place inside of a form, something where you call backdrop get form and then the function name, when the form API goes through and renders a form, it gives every element an ID based on its position in the form API array. And so it will end up with an ID of edit, the word edit, dash, like if the name of the element is my checkbox, it'll be dash my dash checkbox. And if it's nested inside of a parent, then it will have the parent proceeding in it with dashes as well. So IDs should be given on all form elements unless you specifically remove it, like unless you say ID attribute or ID equals null. But if you render a checkbox outside of Form API, like just in a renderable somewhere or in a page callback or something like that, then Form API doesn't actually go through and do all the work of assigning IDs to everything. So maybe that's what was happening.
There is how I came across this, because I don't usually go through the closed issues, is I was trying to install in one of the sandbox. This is a long-term pet peeve, and I already have an existing issue. I just couldn't find it now. I was trying to install a module just to check things out, and see part of the installer says gives you the option to enable the newly installed modules. That's where it presents you a list with the modules and checkboxes to do that. So that's one of the places where this manifests itself. This issue must manifest itself. So it's if you click the labels of the modules, the checkboxes are not checked. You need to specifically go and check the checkboxes.
Yeah.
So this is one of the. Yeah. So I know that I have an issue for that there, but I don't know what I was looking for, and I came across the one that I mentioned now. But I recalled, hey, that's the underlying issue basically. So anyway, so I got my answer. I'll probably reopen this and see what the underlying issue is. But yeah, we should make sure that either by calling directly the theme underscore checkbox function, or when we add a form element, to make sure that an ID is added and the label gets a for property, so that things work as expected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, maybe some more context and research, we might find a broad solution, but I wouldn't be surprised if our solution in this, especially in the case of the module installer, is just that we're missing, like either we manually specify an ID or we change the way that the form is called, and
yeah,
it does it
maybe
automatically. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thanks. I'm like spinning up my backdrop website to install a module to see if I can make it happen. Let's see.
Yeah, like if you start a demo site and you start installing there, install any module like the web form module or whatever that has sub modules, then it will present a list and it manifests.
Oh, you know what this is? Hang on, I have it now. I'm gonna share my screen. This is something else entirely, I think. So here we are. So I just installed paragraphs through module installer.
Yep.
And then yeah, you click here and doesn't do it. I bet you anything this is because of this table, like because of it rendering in a table. Yeah. And so I bet that's the source of all of our problems here, that it's not
Does
even.
it have an ID? Does it have an ID? I mean the label thing. Oh yes, because it's not a single element. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
But
oh yeah, this is what happened actually. So see, like the ID is on the checkbox as it should be with edit, dash, but the rendering of it just took the label out, and it just, yeah. So I bet one easy way to fix this would be like if this actually were a label,
add the for attribute there
with the for attribute. Yeah, so this is like an issue with module installer, it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, let's like look at another page, like the modules page itself, right? Same sort of thing. It's got the checkbox next to it, but it properly uses a label element with for.
Right.
Yeah, there it is, like this. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So pretty minor. Cool. Yeah. Never ever. I never want to see this. I don't know why.
We have an issue
I got into a habit at some point in my life where I never click on the checkboxes ever. I only ever hit the labels. And it's just because the label is just so much bigger, like to click on. It just have a better hit rate than trying to hit these little checkboxes.
Yeah. So the issue for that is 5889, I think. what does it say? Project installer enable module step tick and tick checkboxes when the project name is clicked. So yeah,
5859. Oh wait, I got the wrong issue
Sorry.
number. What is it?
5489.
54.
There's a pull request. Huh.
Is it your pull request?
Yes, of course. Of course it is. All right, I got some feedback from them there. I'm not sure. I'll go back to it. Yes. All right, cool. I love it when I come across issues that then start rabbit holes and then I discover all the issues that I haven't gotten back to. Nice.
Excellent. Yeah, and you already found out the solution to it. Just remembering it, yeah. Okay. Well, I guess, I don't have any other topics for today, unless there's something else. Maybe we adjourn. It's the summer and activity is a little bit low, but still definitely chugging along. Oh, one more issue that I looked at that I'd really like to see some progress on, and this is not a push on anyone except for myself, I don't think, but the Great Coding Standards cleanup that BW Panda started a while back. Coding Standards cleanup, where he started going through every file in all of core to fix all coding standards violations, and he only started with files that started with the letter A, and then he's going to go on to B, and then C, and then D, and so it's going to take like 30 pull requests to get through the whole list. Yeah, like it's going to take some time, but it's, I think it's worth doing. Here it is. It's 6004 is the issue number. Looks like he has the pull request for A and B so far.
Pull request for A, B so far.
Nice comment. One down, zillion to go. Nice comment.
Totally.
One down, zillion to go.
Okay. Anyway, just a note on that's also happening. And I think that's it.
I could suggest one thing maybe. I'm not really a developer, and there's lots of people that aren't developers, but they're site builders. I got to listen in on Irina's update on moving D7 sites to Backdrop, and just encouraging some way to make it easier for site builders to do that. I know she's working on that, but developers might look at a way to speed that process along, because there's a lot of people that aren't good at command line like me. So just a
Sure.
thought.
She had two interesting developments, Sarvashri, that we weren't using yesterday. So
Yeah, B2D, I heard about that.
yeah, and also that site audit module. So
Yeah,
actually, I don't know if you know that.
I'll have to go back and look at the
Yeah.
replay. I was traveling, so I could just listen in, but I couldn't really contribute anything. And I couldn't, my screen was only that big.
Sure. But two things that Irina one thing she announced, the other has been available, but is the site audit module for Drupal, which does a great job at providing information on things you need to know to do your upgrade. And that is a great tool for site builders. And then the other thing is that I hadn't looked at was that D2B migrate module, which is pretty impressive in terms of how that would help a site builder do an upgrade. So I think we need to play with those and give some feedback.
Okay, that's, we'll finish the one they were working on. Then I have another one that also has a blog on it. And I couldn't remember the steps you did to make that blog work. So anyway, I just thought I'd chime in a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah. One issue that came to mind now, I'm trying to find it. I'll try to find the issue, is that we started an issue, and I think I provided a pull request for it as well. to make it easier for people to report problems, provide a list of modules and settings for Backdrop, like troubleshooting. I'll try to find that. It would be awesome if we release that as a feature with the next upcoming release. I've simplified that as much as possible so that it doesn't have bells and whistles, last I remember. But
Yeah, when Tim and I were going through my upgrade process, we would run into sort of niggly little things that we didn't expect to happen, but there's no way to report on those things as such.
Oh, there are ways to report. I'll help you with that.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so the issue the issue was referring to is 5791.
So
I would like to see.
it goes into the Git repository area. That's where things get reported.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll provide a link. I was referring to this, Savasri. This is the link. The
So
issue.
that could be put in the upgrade instructions as well. That's something a site builder could do. Okay.
The specific thing that I'm referring to, Savasri, is if people go to the forum or the issue queue and they report a problem with their site, the usual thing from us supporting them is like, what modules did you have installed? What version of PHP? So these are things that we need to know beforehand, and it would save a lot of trouble if everyone on their side had a place where they could go and copy paste that and provide it beforehand. So we save a lot of back and forth, and the people that are willing to offer help to others have all the information they need. Right, or the most frequent information, frequently asked information, I should say.
So there would be a button to click that would just gather all that information.
Yeah, it will be a report. It will be in the report page. That's how it is. So if you provided a link into the chat, and if you follow that link and scroll to the bottom of the thread, because it might be a longer thread, try to look for a screenshot that shows everything. There's a screenshot there that it's called debug information. So it basically is a page where you can copy paste the Backdrop version. If you're using an installation profile, the version of your PHP database and web server, which admin theme and front-end theme you're using, and all the versions of the modules that you have enabled, either core or contrib modules. So if a person comes and says, I'm getting this error on the site, people can, try to replicate the issue, but by installing the same modules and see if they can, replicate the issues. That's it.
Great.
That looks like it's making good progress. I'll try to take a look at it.
Yep.
Greg, thank you.
Yeah, if you get a chance, Greg, that's one of the ones that lost its sandbox.
Oh,
Because
yes.
of the tugboat issue, so it needs to
Rebase.
be rebased.
Rebase. Yeah. Cool. I'll do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that like a change to the status report?
No, it's a separate page that is called debug information. That is a log alongside the report. So it doesn't. The status report has more information there that maybe we don't need off the start, but when someone reports an issue, the PHP version they're using, the web server they're using, and which modules they have enabled are crucial. So yeah.
Yeah, I like the look. I don't know if there's still any debate about whether or not there was a little bit of questioning at the beginning if we needed something new in this.
Yeah.
And so people have feelings about that. They should comment on this. But to me, it seems like it would be a helpful addition to core.
Yeah, and it's not just for us, for the benefit of core.
Yep.
Having worked as a support engineer since like 2016 now, it was I work in a service desk supporting Drupal sites basically, and it's one of the things that we check as support engineers. It's the first things like what versions of PHP you're running and stuff. It's the information that we need. So if you're supporting a platform, like if you're a hosting provider dedicated to Drupal, excuse me, sorry, I have this summer cold. Sorry, I cough all the time. Horrible thing. Yeah, and I had something else that I wanted to say. Just let me gather my thoughts. Yeah, so the initial incarnation of this, like, and that screenshot still has the copy to clipboard and download text files links, but I think there's consensus to remove those, and maybe add it in a follow-up issue if there's other places in core that we might have used for those in general.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I have thoughts about like we can provide this information. I think it's going to be like there's no losing adding it. But then the way that people use the information, I guess maybe it'll just be a little bit loose. Like what we would like them to do, maybe is like when they paste it into an issue, we want to make sure that they escape it, right, with the backticks to make it code formatted. Otherwise, it's
We don't have to. Well,
you don't. Yeah, you don't have to. I mean, I guess we
I'll tell
could.
you. No.
Or,
There was a segue to that, and I remembered what I wanted to say. That, and sorry to interrupt you now. In once we have CK editor 5 in the forum, people can add code blocks, right? And we can tell them to do that. But the good thing with GitHub is besides issue templates, which we already have. So when you click the button to create a new issue, it presents you what type of issue you want to create, and then it fills in some pre-formatted text, a template. GitHub has the good thing of that we're not taking advantage of yet, of actual forms. So we can have fields that people fill in. They can
oh,
paste the whole thing. Yeah, we're just not taking advantage of that. I'll find the feature. So it's available. It's been for some time, and it's always been in my mind, but we haven't converted our templates to use forms. So we can have a form where it's a field and we ask them to paste all that information there. And then we can have that being formatted as a code block. So
yeah, that's a great
it will
idea.
help. Yeah, it will help the issue queue.
Yeah, I almost wonder if on the report page on this page, if there should also be a link to report an issue, right? That then takes you to said form. Yeah, it would be even it would be even better. I'm elaborating on things that probably aren't possible now. If clicking on that link actually pre-populated the form with your
Yes.
information, so you didn't
Right.
have to copy and paste it, but I really doubt that that's possible because you'd probably, yeah, that would have to be a post request, and you can't do that with a link, and yeah, all kinds of things. Why that probably won't work. It'd be cross domains. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's great. Yeah, just thinking about how this information will get used. But even if it's used poorly, less than ideal, like it's still better than nothing. So still in favor across the board.
Yeah. So I've posted a link in the chat in the GitHub documentation that says basically they're called issue forms, which we are not using. So it specifies the it seems to be a YAML file.
Cool.
And then you can specify if it's a label, a title, or is it that?
Wow, it's like GitHub made their own YAML-based form API. Huh.
Yeah, so you can make select box, like see how it says what browsers are you using, and it's a select, it's a drop down, and you can specifically say.
Yeah, neat.
Right. Cool.
Okay. Okay, well, let's wrap it up for today. And yeah, thanks again, everybody, for being here. And we'll catch you all next week. So thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. And take it easy.